Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the press conference. Let me first introduce the speakers. We have Mr. Michael Wong, the Deputy Financial Secretary, Ms. Winnie Ho, Secretary for Housing, and Ms. Estrella Zhang, Deputy Secretary for Housing. The DFS will first give a PowerPoint presentation together with the Secretary for Housing as well as the Deputy Secretary before taking questions. DFS, please. Good afternoon, everyone. In relation to the long-term housing arrangement for Wang Fuk Court, we now have a proposal. We will explain to you the details in this press conference. Right after the fire, the Chief Executive led a team to work out the support and relief plans, providing in-cash, monetary, as well as various support services to help to meet the immediate needs of residents. The support fund for Wang Fuk Court in Tai Po has dispensed a number of subsidies. The government has also waived rates as well as various fees. Regarding the long-term housing arrangements of Wang Fuk Court, we understand that different households have different needs. Previously, through the one social worker per household, we have collected the initial preference of different households. This will form the basis of the government's work. I would like to say a few things. At the time when the questionnaires were sent out, we said it very clear that the reply would not affect the ultimate decision made by the households. As time moves on, the preference of households may have changed, which is fully understandable. The options, say for example the acquisition price, is higher by about 1/3 from the price floated in the questionnaire. And there are also more options under units, say for example housing units under the housing society. Anyway, the questionnaire replies gave us a better understanding. The results of the questionnaires. First, most households think that speed is essential, over 80%. About 47% prefers rehousing in the same district. Equally, 47% of households want to have all the residents' needs taken care of. Among the households that have returned, the households, about 99%, which is 1,975 households, 74%, that is 1,458 households, responded that they may consider acquisition from the government. It means that they might consider it, not that they necessarily would accept it. About 14% of the households who have replied said that they had not yet decided. 12% of them said that they would not accept the acquisition. Let's focus on the 1,458 households who have indicated they would accept the acquisition. About 41% said that they would accept cash acquisition or flat-for-flat acquisition. About 39% said that they would only accept the acquisition under flat-for-flat. About 20% said that they would only accept cash acquisition. Looking at it at another angle, out of the 1,458 households, 81% of the households said that they would need the government to provide sales subsidized flats, including HOS, home ownership scheme flats, or GSH flats, that is green farm subsidized flats. 19% of them said that after receipt of cash acquisition payment, they would make their own arrangements for long-term housing, but they would not consider buying subsidized sales flats from the government. out of the 1,182 households who said that they would be interested in buying subsidized sales flats, what we told them at that time that there would be options. The 1,182 households have made 3,000 more choices. That is, per household, they have picked about 2.3 choices. Most people, about 800 households, have chosen Kai Yang Court in Kai Tak. About 600 households or so have chosen Xinqi Court in Kowloon Bay. Over 400 households have chosen Conf Park units. Some have said that they would like to have in-situ redevelopment
owners. We will also set up a hotline. The hotline will come online on the 2nd of March, and we will notify you of the number later. So this is the uniform of our engagement team members. It's in light blue, and they will also carry identification cards. So do keep an eye for the engagement team members. That concludes our introduction.
Thank you. Now the floor is open for questions. Please raise your hand. You'll be given a microphone. Before you ask your questions, please identify your media outlet. Please do not ask more than 3 questions. On the far side, the gentleman in light blue. I'm from TMHK. First question, the use of public money. We're talking about the use of $4 billion. After acquisition and the resettlement of insurance claims, how much will be coming out from public money? Is using public money the only option? Have you considered other options? 2, the acquisition price per square foot. Compared to the questionnaire, as the DFS said, it is higher by about 1/3. Is it because of the compassion you mentioned? If the original acquisition price was used, do you think that it would not be attractive enough and that it would not be taken up? That's why you have raised the acquisition price. But is it a suitable way to use public money? Thirdly, Wang Chi House. The government said that they will not be covered under the acquisition plan. Does it mean that owners in Wang Chi House will not be given this option? What if owners of the 7 blocks that have been ravaged, will they be given an option to choose a flat available in Wang Chi House for their long-term rehousing? Thank you for your questions. The use of public money. There has been a donation about $4 billion in the support fund. The government would need to make an injection. There was previously a debate in LegCo. Majority of members support the use of public money to help. It's not just compassion. I told you about the principles. The households have gone through trials and tribulations. We need to give them compassion. In addition, we think that the acquisition price should be enough for households to buy a flat. Let me give you a reference. For same district, Chung Nga Road West, Phase 1, the selling price is close to $7,000 per square foot. For units with premium unpaid, it's about $8,000. So the difference is about $1,000. For Wang Fuk Court, the unit size is about 400. It's about 400 square foot. So it's about an addition of about $400,000. So that may be taken into account by owners. Another consideration is that given the scale of the fire and the impact it has on everyone is unprecedented. So this is an extraordinary approach in an extraordinary time. We don't think that it will become a precedent. We have balanced needs of different parties involved. We think this is a prudent use of public money. There is uncertainty in relation to the insurance. We said that there would be an injection of about $4 billion. If we successfully purchase all units, then the government becomes the insured party. The insurance itself is complicated. In relation to fire insurance, well, we're talking about structure. Generally, it covers rebuilding or restoration. But in this case, there won't be any restoration. But of course, there will be assessment by professionals and experts. There might be disputes. That is something that I cannot rule out. There are also liability issues. We need to wait for the report from the independent committee as well. It will take time that I cannot tell how long it will take. If there is any insurance payout to the government, then they will go back to the public coffers. Another question from Ming Pao, the gentleman. Good afternoon, I'm from Ming Pao. You will leave Wang Chi House intact. There are some technical issues. If that is the case, how will you handle the title deed issues? When will the households be able to move back in? What about future demolition works and the impact on residents in Wang Chi House? In relation to the repair order, under the independent audit unit, how will you handle that? When you collect questionnaires, have you conduct analysis on the individual preference of the households? Secondly, in situ development, 9% of the households said that they would only accept in situ development. But in the questionnaire, households were not asked to prioritize their preferences. Have you asked those who have chosen in situ development why they made that choice? The DFS said that compassion will be a priority. However, in the proposal, you have ruled out in situ development. What about those who only want to live in the same site? Is it feasible to let them move into units in Wang Chi House? There are some households that have yet to pay off their mortgage. How do you deal with outstanding mortgage issues in the acquisition? What about households who refuse to sell you their property? I will start with the last question. There are about 200 or so units that still have mortgage. It's a small number. Assuming that they accept the government's acquisition, they will take cash from the government and use the cash to repay the mortgage. For those who choose flat for flat, from the questionnaire we learned that some households do not want to handle a large amount of cash for different reasons. They thought that they might not be able to handle rehousing matters if you give them a large amount of flats. So if it's flat for flat, then they will still need money to pay off the mortgage. We have talked to the Hong Kong Monetary Authority. Well, if it's flat for flat, after the fire, the unit's value will have dropped significantly. Say, for example, they will get a flat next year. The Hong Kong MA will move the collateral from a flat in Wang Chi Court to the new flat. The mortgage remains the same, and we hope that the bank will put in place expedient arrangements. Well, for about half a year, there is no need to pay mortgage, and the outstanding amount is interest-free. Of course, that depends on the unit they choose. They may have to wait for a year or 6 months. If it's phase 1 of Chung Au Road West, it will be a wait of 3 years. We hope banks will offer an accommodating arrangement. Banks said that they would consider it. It would take too long to have in situ redevelopment. Previously, in a discussion at LegCo, we said that it's very difficult to come up with one single proposal to meet different needs. We may have to wait for 9 to 10 years. Allow me to elaborate. The government's assumptions were it would take 3 years to acquire all property rights. Then we would need about 18 months to demolish the 7 buildings and another 4 or 5 years to build the blocks. So it would be about 10 years. LegCo members said that we were too optimistic because the handling of property rights is an issue that is complicated because it involves the preference of the owners. And regrettably, 168 residents have lost their lives. We have also talked to the court. Probate issues will be swiftly handled, but sometimes, for some cases, it takes longer. During the transitional period, the different issues will need to be addressed. Some households may think that if they are already living in a place for 9 to 10 years, they might have taken root there. And that's why in our plan, we don't have the option of in situ redevelopment. Your question was assuming that Wang Chi House will be left untouched. That is a possibility. And if there is consensus from Wang Chi House owners for acquisition, we may look into it. There is always a possibility. The engagement team will reach out to owners of Wang Chi House, owners of units in Wang Chi House to gauge their preference. If the majority of owners in Wang Chi Court would like to stay there, then they will move back in. And if owners of other units in Wang Fuk Court would like to move into Wang Chi House, then it is an open market sale and purchase of units, and we'll leave it to the market. In relation to demolition, we will make arrangements to minimize the impact. It is a small site. Hong Kong is densely populated, and we have plenty of experience in relation to demolition project. We'll do our best.
Next question, please. Now, for specific arrangements. Now, I recall your question about the question of deeds of mutual covenants. Now, we must separate the ownership and the property titles. If Wang Chi House remains standing, then we have to sort out the issue of the deeds of mutual covenants. All the 8 blocks actually share the same deed, and there are different deeds for the communal space, so the issue is quite complicated. So the Home Affairs Department and the Hop-on Management will sort this out. Sorry, allow me to supplement further. The situation is some of Wang Chi House residents would like to move back to Wang Chi House. Now, actually, many residents in Wang Fuk Court would like to go back to their flats to inspect the damage. Now, the task force led by the Chief Secretary, the Deputy Chief Secretary of Administration is now making arrangements for that, and they will make announcements soon. The gentleman at the back. Good afternoon, I'm from Singtao Daily. Some EXCO members are worried that residents may experience emotional distress and other issues. So how will the government help them? Now, you said that you welcome questions or proposals from the public. So has the government accepted some of the proposals made by the owners? Now, can you share with us your thinking process in terms of the challenges you face, time constraints and resources constraint, what is the largest hurdle? Would you please repeat your first question? Some ExCo members are worried that by leaving owners from the Wang Chi House from the acquisition plan, they may experience further emotional distress. I can't comment on the individual views of ExCo members here, but I've explained the rationale behind leaving Wang Chi House out of the acquisition arrangement. Now about our thinking process. The burden is huge and we need to strike an appropriate balance. So before we put this plan before you today, we have undergone a lot of discussion internally. We have balanced the conditions of the buildings and also the use of public fund and empathy. We are spending the public money very carefully. Now, about questions or proposals from the Wangfuk Court owners. Compared with our original, initial proposals, there are several differences. The initial plan did not include development projects under the housing society. The flags sold by the housing society are more expensive than the HOS flags. Now we have now included 400 flags from the housing society. Now about the acquisition offer, based on the principles I have told you, we are now making a better offer. Now the $6,000 to $8,000 per square foot offer was proposed by the Hong Kong Institute of Surveyors. So we have increased that number by 1/3. Next question, the gentleman at the back. I'm from Now TV. Just now, you mentioned that the owners from Wang Chi House must reach a high consensus. But what percentage are you talking about? Is there a threshold under the law, say 90%, so as to sort out the issue of private ownership? And are there other alternatives for Wang Chi House owners? 90% of owners would like to see in situ redevelopment. But if they reject all other options, is there another option for them to choose from? On your second question, we think the proposal we are putting on the table today is very comprehensive, and we are very serious with this proposal. But we can always debate on the offer itself. This proposal we are putting on the table today has gone through a lot of thinking process and serious discussion. I think what the owners are asking for is not more money. They are very pragmatic. They want to sort out the issue of long-term accommodation. That's what we have learned from our communication with the owners. And society must understand that public funds must be invoked to offer them accommodation because the support fund is not enough. Now, I'm talking about the entire Wangfuk Court. 9% of the affected residents only accept in situ redevelopment. So 12% do not accept our proposal, and the above 9% respondents are within this 12%. So according to previous discussion, some individuals even propose a lower acquisition price in the range of 6,000. So you can see that today's acquisition offer is much higher than that, and that would help reaching a consensus. Now, concerning Wang Chi House, we think 50% consensus should be enough for further discussion. Let me give you an example, which may not apply 100%. Many years ago, under the URA, Urban Renewal Authority, there was a proposal for demand housing. Now, the starting point of the discussion was 67% of consensus. There should be a threshold, and the threshold should be at least more than half. If more than half of the residents would like to return to Wang Chi House, we have to respect their wish. But if there are only sporadic requests for returning to Wang Chi House, that would pose a lot of difficulties in terms of long-term arrangements and other supporting facilities and arrangements. So concerning the actual threshold for acquisition for property rights in Wang Chi House, we have to be very careful. If we are to invoke the law to empower the governments to purchase, to acquire the property rights of Wang Chi House, we may have to introduce a new legislation, and we have to respect the Article 6 and Article 105 of the Basic Law, which protects property ownership rights. So there's much more work to be done. Next question, the lady in grey.
I'm from Oriental Daily. My first question. You said that if there are only a small number of owners who want acquisition, then you would not impose your will on them. When will you ask the owners of Wang Chi House again? Would you do it through the social workers to collect their views? Will you do it? There is the possibility of an injection of $4 billion into the fund to acquire properties. It's taxpayers' money. Well, is it because of certain things that are missed in the duty of government departments in the renovation projects resulting in this disaster? Now public money is used. Would it be unfair to taxpayers? Will you start a fundraising drive among civil servants to boost the amount in the support fund? Will you launch another fundraising campaign to increase the amount? You talk about the use of the existing site. It may be turned into a park or communal facilities. Will you ask the residents again about what they'd like the site to be used for? Will you collate views from the community before you decide on the future use of the site? You've asked 4 questions. I'll do my best. We will communicate with the owners. We don't want to increase the workload of the social workers. We have an engagement team with a strength of over 100 staff members. They will reach out to owners of Wang Chi House to gauge their preference. There is no deadline. There is one deadline, which is the end of August, for the proposal for the other 7 blocks. We will see how the communication goes before we map our way forward. I'm not going to repeat about the points in relation to public money. We have fully considered different considerations and factors. We need the support of the LegCo, and I believe that they will be a proper gatekeeper. With the agreement of Mr. Stanley Ng, chair of the housing panel, in the afternoon of Monday, there will be a special meeting of the panel to discuss about this arrangement. Non-members of the panel will be invited to join. Fundraising. There are also there are also donations coming in. There is the Beijing Han Hong Love Charity Foundation giving $5,000 to owners. The support fund is still running, so donation will be received. The shortfall will have to be made up with public money. The LegCo will be the gatekeeper. I'm not going to repeat what I've already said. Next. I'm from Commercial Radio. First, in situ redevelopment. 22% would like in situ redevelopment, but they accept other options as well. Out of the 22%, how many of them indicate their priority to be in situ redevelopment? 9 plus 22%. That means over 30% of them would like in situ redevelopment as well. How would you deal with households who refuse acquisition? What if households from other 7 blocks would like to move to Wang Chi Court? Can it be done? And when will be the earliest time when people move back into Wang Chi House? High degree of consensus. You said over 50%. Does it mean that 50% of them can choose for flat, whereas the rest, 50%, will move back in? You said that the replies of the questionnaire is for reference only. Now the government has made an arrangement as if it has conducted a formal consultation. What is the next step? When will the households make a final decision? Would that be a referendum for Wang Fu Court owners to make the final decision, or is the decision rests in the hands of the government? You have asked a number of questions. I've already answered the one in relation to in situ redevelopment. The slide says it very clearly. 9% of the respondents said that they only accept in situ redevelopment. 22% of the respondents said that they would like in situ redevelopment, but they also would like other options. We have not gone into such details and list out the order of the different options. I understand your question, but when we design the questionnaire, it should not be too complicated. The answers gives us very useful information. We have considered the views from the community and the views from LegCo. At this stage, there is nothing mandatory. It's a government's proposal. If they accept, that's good. Our advice is for the owners to accept our proposal. As I said, the preference is to have their long-term housing need met. We have there will be a sufficient amount for them to do that. The issues in relating to Wang Chi House, I've said that many times, but I'll still do it again. If there is a small amount of owners who would like to sell the units, well, there are outstanding issues. Say, for example, the division of DMC, issues relating to land lease. It may not be a good use of public money to acquire some flats and not all in Wang Chi House. And if it is a full buyout, then we will consider it. If there is half of the owners who would like acquisition, then we may consider it. If we open other options, then there will be different views. There is a question from you about in situ redevelopment. If Wang Chi House is left there, then if other households would like to move in there, then they can buy those units from the open market. And the government will not get involved. At the beginning of March, assuming that the engagement team has already reached out to the units of all 8 blocks. For the 7 blocks, they will be explained the government option. For Wang Chi House, then we will gauge their preference. We think that by June or July, the preliminary sales and purchase agreement might be signed. When they get the payment is important. We hope that that will be done in about the 3rd quarter. The payment will actually help. For those who choose flat for flat, as Ms. Ho said, if they agree to join before the end of June, they will be the first to select units. The selection, we hope, will take place in September. If you recall the different options, Shing Chi Court in Kowloon Bay will have a population intake in the 4th quarter of this year. Of course, it depends on the needs of different households. Let's take an English question.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wong. Some English questions from the South China Morning Post. Firstly, the government said that only 9% of residents would not accept any other options than in situ resettlement. Does the government believe that this really is the minor opinion, given that there's also 22% that are also open to other options in addition to this in situ redevelopment? And how will the government sort of address those who really strongly believe that they want in situ redevelopment? Will there be any sort of additional convincing, or what other options will it take? Secondly, the government's offer to repurchase these flats at 10,500 Hong Kong dollars and 8,000 Hong Kong dollars per square feet, depending on what our land premium is paid. How would you respond to some criticism from residents that the price paid is not enough to get a similar flat under the price being offered by the government? And could you also talk about the sort of public funds that are involved in the purchase, and what is the sort of the government's assessment on that spending to its fiscal health? And lastly, just to ask about Wang Chi Court as well. If there are some residents who do not no longer want to stay in Wang Chi Court, but are not, offered the resettlement option under the current government resettlement program, what else could they do? Do they have to, as other reporters have suggested, perhaps sell their apartment to other Wang Fu Court residents, or what is the option they have available?
Good afternoon. Thank you for your 3 questions. Now, first of all, we do not regard the request for in situ arrangement as minor. As I explained, it is just that in formulating the government's package, it is impossible to satisfy the wish of everyone. I hope you do understand, because we are talking, after all, about over 1,900 different owner tenants. With regard to in situ arrangement, first and foremost, the greatest difficulty is the time required. We have explained that it will require at least 9 to 10 years before these arrangements can allow the owner tenants to move back. And actually, at discussions at our Legislative Council earlier, some councillors, especially those with a legal background, has pointed out to us that we might be too optimistic in assuming that all the property rights issues can be resolved within a period of around 3 years. So that's a key consideration why we do not think in situ arrangement is an appropriate one to offer. With regard to the amount of money, it is our belief, and also supported by facts, that the amount of money should be adequate for those who are prepared to accept the package to find long-term accommodation that are more or less similar to the previous conditions. One key reference will be Zhong A Lo West. I think Secretary Ho has explained that for that development, which is also in Tai Po, we are talking about a per square foot sale price of a little less than $7,000. So if you look at the acquisition price we're prepared to offer to flats with unpaid premium, which is the majority of the cases, is actually more than adequate to cover the acquisition price. On use of public money, if you look at the amount of money for the fund, I think from the society we've raised about $4.4 billion. For the government to also to add some money to that, to make the long-term arrangements possible. I mean, having regard to the need for us to have empathy, having regard to the fact that this is an exceptionally special arrangement and one-off arrangement that we do not think will set any precedent, and having regard to what I just said about we need an arrangement that can effectively help the owners of Wang Fuk Yun to address their long-term housing needs. We do think that's appropriate. And of course, I think later on at LegCo, they would consider the proposal, especially they will provide the guide rails for the use of public resources.
Sorry, can I just ask one more question?
Please,
also,
please.
About the time frame of exactly how, the time frame of how this redevelopment or the resettlement option will take place. When could realistically the government start this demolishment procedures? When could residents officially get the money as well?
Okay. Going forward, this is how things will unfold in our plan. At the beginning of March, the members of our engagement team will touch base with the owners individually to explain to them the proposal and to ascertain their wish. We hope that by May or June, we will be able to sign. The owners who are prepared to accept the arrangement will be able to sign provisional agreements with the government. And after that, there will be certain conveyancing procedures they have to follow. So we are looking forward to being able to pay the owners the acquisition money in the third quarter of this year. So basically, this is the way forward we are looking at.
Next question, please. The gentleman in deep blue. Good afternoon, I'm from Hong Kong 01, 2 questions. If residents are resolute in not selling their property rights, will the government force them to accept your acquisition? And for residents at the Wang Chi House, as another reporter has asked, when can they return to their flats? I will answer the second question again. The task force led by the Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration is now dealing with the issue. They will make an announcement soon. Now, we hope that the residents in the 7 blocks in Wang Fuk Court can see that our proposal is a very good arrangement for them. So if the residents do not accept the proposal by the 31st of August, the proposal will have lapsed. And should we leave it to the market mechanism to sort it all out? I think that would be very difficult. So we hope that the residents would understand the difficulty. And we will not criticize any owners who refuse to accept our offer because this is their own property. They must have their own reasons, but we would earnestly ask them to consider our proposal. Of course, it's based on consensus. We won't force the owners to make a decision. But indeed, our proposal is beneficial to them, so we hope they would consider our proposal favorably. Next question, the lady in white. Good afternoon, I'm from Tai Kung Pao. There will be 3,900 flags for the residents to choose from. So will the Wang Fuk Court residents be given first priority to select the flags before other buyers? And will the government also provide them with cash subsidies? Thank you. I will give the floor to Ms. Winnie Ho. Now, the 3,900 flags will be sold under a special sales exercise. For example, in the HOS and GSH exercise 2025, we will set aside a number of flags under the special sales exercise for residents of Wing Fu Court who have accepted our proposal to choose from. So the date, 31st of October, is important. After that date, there will surely be some flags left. So the unchosen flags will be released back to the market for other buyers. So rest assured, there are a total of 9,000 flags in HOS and GSH sales 2025. There will still be some 7,000 flags for sale in the sales exercise. So for the remaining flags in the special sales exercise, they will be released back to the 2025 sales exercise. Allow me to supplement concerning cash subsidies for rent. As mentioned by Mr. Chuck Wing-hing, the cash allowance will last for 2 years. So say if you choose a flat in Xingji Court, Kowloon Bay, and you have moved in by the end of this year, the allowance will stop there because you have moved in. If the flat you have chosen is only available by the end of next year, then you can get allowances from both phases.
Next question. Row 3, the one in beige. I'm from TVB. Just now the DFS said that the proposal will have to be either accepted or rejected by 31st of August. If no choice is made, does it mean that the option will be lapsed? What if they have not made any arrangements or made any choice? Does it mean that they won't get any compensations? Just now, a reporter asked for Wenqi House, there needs to be a consensus before the government intervenes. And if there is intervention from the government, how much more will have to be spent? You said that a number of options have been offered. Acquisition of the properties for flat arrangement. Well, if it's cash acquisition and then the money is used to buy a unit under the special sales exercise, what's the difference? Do you encourage them to choose one over the other? You said that they will be able to get the cash payment in the third quarter, the earliest. When will you complete all acquisitions? Well, how long will the whole project take? From cash payment to selection of flats, what about the accommodation in that period of time? Do they have to move out of where they are to find accommodation during that transitional period? Wenqi House. If there is consensus, then we will start discussions. If acquisition is successful, then we will be happy. The offer will be the same as the other 7 blocks. So for 6.8 billion, for 7 blocks, then it's about $90 billion for all 8, including Wenqi House. I think it depends on how things unfold. If units of the 7 blocks do not make a choice before 31st of August, then they will face difficulties. That's a fact. But for all plans, there needs to be a deadline. I thank you for the question. It gives me a chance to answer. In exceptional circumstances, we will exercise discretion. Say, for example, when the probate is not completed by the 31st of August. That will be an exception. We don't think there will be many cases. But if that is the case, the option is still open to the relevant party. If probate is completed, say, next year, we will still keep the offer for cash acquisition or flat arrangement open, but it will be an arrangement next year. That is the exception that we can see. As to whether there will be other exceptions, we haven't seen any other cause for exceptions yet. That lady reporter, I'm from cable TV. If, like you said, there are outstanding probate issues, well, how many households are you talking about? If there are probate issues, that means that they've lost someone in the household. They will not be able to select flats in the first batch, but they have lost someone in the flat. They will lose out by not being the first to select flats as well. What if there are households who do not want to choose before the 31st of August? You said that they will have to settle things in the market. There may be people who will find accommodation in the market. But would there be a case where a burned down flat is left there, dragging the government's feet? Will it prolong demolition, investigation, and all the plans the government has? How will you handle these cases? I'll answer your second question first. It will be difficult. Difficult for households who need to make the decision. But that is a legal issue that has to be handled. The Institute of Surveyors previously said that there is another option, legislation by the government to acquire the flats. But that's not our focus yet. But if there are unresolved issues and we have no choice but to go down that avenue, then we might. But we respect private ownership of property. But if there are very special cases, well, looking at existing legislation, that's to do with redevelopment or development. However, Wangfuk Court is different from those cases. What we want to do is to help residents to meet their long-term housing needs. There are legal uncertainties, say, for example, division of the deed of mutual covenant, insurance. When the government becomes the owner, then the government shoulders these uncertainties. You mentioned about probate. We need to first ascertain the owner before we can handle these issues. We hope that the probate will be resolved as soon as possible. We don't have the number of cases at hand. But let me take the question from this reporter as well. But the reporter in black, I'm from Nikkei. The question earlier, you said that it can't include detailed choices, but now you have a proposal. Will you start another questionnaire or use other forms to gauge the views of residents before making adjustments? Or is it the ultimate proposal? A decision will have to be made before the deadline, and there won't be any change before or after the 31st of August. I'd also like to ask questions about Wang Chi Court. Currently, it is not covered under your plan. Will there be other assistance to residents of Wang Chi House? Or is it the case that to the government that's the end of assistance provided to residents from Wang Chi Court? Well, let me tell you this. The engagement team will reach out to residents of Wang Chi Court as well. Their preference will be gauged. If there is a high degree of consensus, say over half of the residents would like government acquisition, then we may explore that avenue. We will use the engagement team. But under our plan today, that is not an option. We have fully considered different factors before making this decision. If there is possible change, there is no need for us to tell you about our plan today. We have fully considered the long-term housing needs of the residents in the 7 blocks before we come up with this proposal. We asked them to seriously consider our offer. When will residents be able to move back into Wang Chi House? 22% plus 9%, does it mean that 30% of the households would like in-situ redevelopment? You don't have to build all 7 blocks. What about 1 to 2 blocks in the site that will be able to meet the needs of the 30%? Why do you not consider it? Let me answer you briefly. If there is in-situ redevelopment, it takes a very long time. We'll have to first handle ownership issues, then demolition, then construction. There is also the long-term transitional accommodation. If people have lived in a different location for a very long time, then things might have changed. The situation would have changed. There are other options as well. In Tai Po, Chung Nga Road West, we will be able to make available flats in just 3 years. That will be an option for them as well. Let me answer the question again. The task force led by the DCS is actively working on that issue. When there is any development, there will be an announcement. Sorry, the speaker is not coming through. The use of the existing site. I've already told you about the preliminary ideas. If anything is to be built in the site, whether be them parks or community facilities, we will have to first acquire all ownership. We're talking about at least 5 years. Similar to other government planning or provision of facilities, we will conduct consultation as necessary. That's the end of the press conference. Thank you.